My hands were trembling as I watched the Medflight helicopter circling above, unable to touch down. An 80-year-old woman, Mrs. Evelyn Harper, lay dying in the yard next door, and these so-called police officers were barking orders, claiming federal authority to block the landing. Their uniforms were crisp, badges gleaming, and their SUV had all the right markings, flashing lights, official decals, the works. Everything screamed legitimate. But deep in my gut, something felt off, like a warning siren I couldn't ignore. When I started digging, I uncovered a criminal web so dark and twisted it nearly cost me everything. These people had been preying on families for years, and I was about to become their worst nightmare. It was a warm September evening in 2024 on my quiet ranch in Willow Creek, Montana. The sun was dipping low, casting long shadows over the fields, when I first noticed the helicopter. Mrs. Harper had collapsed while watering her roses, struck by a massive stroke. Every second was critical. Her family was frantic, huddled around her lifeless form. I'd worked as an aircraft mechanic for years, so I was out in the field, signaling the pilot to guide the chopper to a safe landing. We had it all lined up, clear as day, until two men in sheriff's uniforms roared up my driveway in a marked vehicle, lights blazing. The timing was too perfect, and that should have been my first clue. "Sir, you need to wave off that helicopter now," the taller one barked, his voice dripping with authority. His badge read, Captain Hayes, and he carried himself like he owned the place. His partner, Deputy Larson, had all the gear: radio, cuffs, the full package. Their SUV looked straight out of a police garage, complete with antennas and decals. They weren't some back-alley crooks. This was a polished act. Captain Hayes rattled off some nonsense about emergency HOA protocols and federal aviation restrictions tied to an ongoing investigation. He flashed paperwork, HOA resolutions with fancy letterheads, stamps, and signatures that looked real enough to fool anyone. Deputy Larson was on his radio, spitting out police codes like he'd been doing it his whole life. It all felt so official, and with Mrs. Harper fading fast, who has time to question authority? The helicopter pilot was getting antsy, burning fuel while circling. I could see the Harper family's panic from across the field. Captain Hayes insisted the chopper had to divert to a landing zone 20 minutes away, citing HOA Directive 32B and tapping his clipboard like it was gospel. I argued, but their story was airtight, and I'd been raised to trust cops and respect community rules. So, I did the unthinkable. I waved off the Medflight. I stood there, directing a life-saving helicopter away from a dying woman because fake cops told me to. Those 20 minutes cost Mrs. Harper dearly. She survived, but the delay left her with severe speech loss and partial paralysis. Her family was shattered. The doctor said 15 minutes earlier could have changed everything. Within hours, I was on the phone with the county sheriff's office, demanding answers. The desk sergeant sounded baffled when I mentioned federal aviation restrictions and HOA powers. After bouncing me between departments, he promised a follow-up call that never came. I filed a written complaint, describing Hayes, Larson, and their vehicle in detail, but it vanished into thin air. What I didn't know was that Clara Benson, the mastermind behind this, had her sister, Lydia, working as a county dispatcher, burying every complaint that came close to exposing their scheme. Clara, the HOA president, played the part of a concerned community leader, even suggesting a fund for Mrs. Harper's medical bills, an insult, considering she caused the problem. The community turned on me. Neighbors whispered I'd botched the emergency, some even hinting I was tied to whatever federal investigation had blocked the chopper. Clara's manipulation was flawless, weaponized my trust in authority against me. I started doubting myself, lying awake at night, wondering if I was losing it. Then, Sarah Mitchell showed up at my door with a briefcase full of photos. "Mr. Nolan," she said, her voice low and steady, "what if I told you Mrs. Harper wasn't Clara's first victim?" She laid out 9 photos on my kitchen table, different families, different properties, same fake uniforms, same devastating outcomes. "How many lives has she ruined?" I whispered. Sarah's eyes hardened. "We're about to find out." Sarah wasn't just some journalist sniffing out HOA scandals, as she'd claimed. Her intensity and the way she dissected those photos told me she knew too much. Each image was a gut punch. The Carter family, whose son suffered kidney damage after fake HOA officers delayed an ambulance. the Grayson Ranch, where a heart attack victim died because fake feds blocked a chopper. 9 families, all forced to sell their land to the same shady developer for pennies on the $9 million in stolen property. Clara wasn't just a crook. She was running a criminal empire built on broken lives. Her playbook was chilling. For months, she'd target families with petty HOA violations, fake parking tickets, trumped-up code infractions, mysterious utility issues. Then came the big guns, fake federal investigations, aviation bans, and emergency interference, all designed to crush families into selling their land. Clara had studied HOA laws and aviation regulations, crafting fake documents so convincing they'd fool anyone who wasn't a lawyer. She knew most people don't question authority in a crisis. Her operation had grown bolder, better uniforms, forged badges with real security features, and a fleet of official-looking vehicles stored right in our community. She even had her sister Lydia scrubbing complaints to keep the real cops in the dark. Sarah revealed Clara's fatal flaw: overconfidence. Her empire left a trail: bank records, equipment purchases, payments to actors posing as cops. Clara thought she was untouchable, but that arrogance was her weakness. Sarah needed hard evidence, caught in the act, to bring her down. We set a plan to let Clara's operation implode under its own weight, documenting every move. Then my radio crackled with a new emergency. A 65-year-old neighbor, Mrs. Clara Thompson, was having a heart attack. The chopper was minutes out, and I knew Clara's fake cops would show up. Sarah and I rigged cameras around my property and patched into real dispatch. Sure enough, 4 vehicles screeched in, lights flashing. Captain Hayes, now in an FBI-style windbreaker, led a team of HOA emergency responders with upgraded gear, radios, IDs, the works. Hayes barked about a federal drug trafficking investigation, using aviation jargon so convincing the pilot hesitated. But I was ready. 911. This is James Nolan at 214 Pine Ridge Lane. Fake feds are on my property, blocking a medical chopper. Send real deputies now. The cracks in their act showed fast. One officer flubbed his fake title, Hayes' ID had a wrong seal, and their radios sputtered with static. Sarah's cameras caught it all: Hayes' fake orders, the chopper circling, my clear signals to the pilot. When real deputies arrived, they spotted the fakes in seconds. Hayes tried claiming HOA federal jurisdiction, but real cops know real procedures. The 4 imposters were cuffed, their gear seized, and Mrs. Thompson's chopper landed in time to save her life. The fallout was explosive. My live stream of the fake cops hit 150,000 views in hours. Local news ran with it, framing Clara's crew as criminals disrupting rural emergencies. Other victims came forward: the Carters, the Graysons, 9 families total, all with matching stories. The FBI jumped in, tracing equipment to suppliers and bank records to Clara's HOA funds. But Clara wasn't done. She unleashed a legal tsunami, a $3 million defamation suit, HOA liens on my ranch, and a smear campaign painting me as a troublemaker. My aircraft repair business tanked as clients bailed, and fake HOA violations piled up, everything from illegal fencing to unpermitted vehicles. My blood pressure skyrocketed, chest pains kept me up, and neighbors shunned me. Clara's PR team spun her as a victim of rogue contractors, while her sister Lydia kept complaints buried. 3 months of hell nearly broke me. I stared at Clara's final offer: sell my ranch for $700,000 or face ruin. Then Sarah burst in with a photo that changed everything: Clara handing an envelope to Federal Judge Callahan in a dimly lit diner. She just made her biggest mistake, Sarah said. Then she flashed an FBI badge. Special Agent Sarah Mitchell, Financial Crimes. I've been undercover for 20 months. My world flipped upside down. Sarah wasn't a journalist. She'd been hunting Clara's multi-state HOA fraud ring, which targeted rural towns with fake cops and legal loopholes. My ranch, with its open fields, was the perfect target. Sarah's cover had gotten her close, but she needed undeniable proof. The photo of Clara bribing Judge Callahan was the key to a federal conspiracy case. Within hours, Clara was in custody, her assets frozen. Lydia was arrested for obstructing justice, and the HOA's secret storage packed with fake badges, uniforms, and a mock police station was raided. Hayes, facing federal impersonation charges, spilled everything. Clara's training sessions, her fake legal research, her $90,000 in HOA fund payments for criminal gear. The trial was a spectacle. The courtroom buzzed with victims, media, and feds. U.S. Attorney Rachel Coleman laid out 6 months of evidence. $9 million in stolen land, bank records, recorded threats, and victim testimonies. My testimony detailing the helicopter incidents, Clara's fake aviation bans, and her retaliation hit the jury hard. Clara's defense, claiming she was a confused old lady duped by consultants, crumbled against her own emails ordering fake cop operations. Hayes' confession sealed it. Clara had personally trained actors to pose as feds. The jury took 2 hours to deliver a guilty verdict on all 9 charges: conspiracy, fraud, impersonation, bribery, the works. Clara's sentencing was brutal. Judge Callahan, untainted by her bribe attempt, cited her callous destruction of 15 families. Victims shared their pain: permanent disabilities, lost homes, shattered lives. Clara's courtroom meltdown was chilling. She ranted about HOA persecution and federal setups, blaming everyone but herself. Her 30-year sentence, with asset forfeiture to victims, felt like justice. But Clara had one last card. In a packed courtroom, she stood, clutching a USB drive. "This proves a conspiracy, judges, feds, senators," she declared. The room froze. Sarah gripped my arm, whispering, "This could ruin everything." Hours later, Clara barricaded herself in the HOA's community center, her secret HQ, complete with a fake police station. She broadcasted files through the emergency system, Judge Callahan's offshore accounts, Senator Harper's shady deals, and FBI agents' debts. SWAT stormed the building as helicopters buzzed above, live on national news. But Clara's bombshell flopped. Her files were mostly petty gossip and illegal surveillance, adding privacy violation charges to her rap sheet. She was dragged out, defeated, her empire in ruins. 2 years later, in September 2026, I stood on my ranch watching a medflight drill. My land's now an official emergency landing zone, ensuring no fake cops can interfere again. The community center, once Clara's lair, honors Mrs. Harper with a plaque, "Real heroes save lives." Clara rots in federal prison, scribbling letters about government plots. Hayes teaches in prison, sending apology notes some families forgive. Sarah, now heading the FBI's Rural HOA Protection Division, checks in with her usual quip, "Any fake cops lately?" I laugh, just at the costume party. This fight taught me to trust my gut when authority feels wrong. Neighbors, once manipulated, now push for HOA oversight and victim funds. My business thrives, my health's back, and I'm stronger for it. But Clara's USB drive left questions. Were those files just her lies, or did they hide real corruption? What did she know about Senator Harper that scared the feds? Drop a comment. Where are you reading from? Was Clara a mastermind or a pawn in something bigger? Should I have sold out and walked away? Hit like, subscribe, and let's unravel the next scandal together.